There's a certain kind of peace that many long for, the kind that stays unshaken, even when surrounded by noise, frustration, or people who test every ounce of your patience. It's not the absence of chaos, it's the calm within it. And that's what the Stoics understood so deeply. They knew that the world will always present you with difficult people, those who interrupt your peace, drain your energy, or make you question your composure. But the real question isn't about them, it's about you. What happens inside you when someone acts in a way that feels unfair, inconsiderate, or rude? Do you lose your center, or do you stay anchored in your own calm? Life constantly gives us moments like this, standing in a line where someone cuts ahead, receiving an unkind comment, or dealing with those who seem determined to find fault in everything. And in those moments, our natural instinct is to react. The body tightens, the mind becomes loud, the breath shortens. You can almost feel the heat rise. It's a universal experience. But Stoicism invites us to pause, to breathe before the storm takes over, to understand that what disturbs us is not the person, but our perception of what they represent. When you begin to look at it this way, something shifts. You start to see that the one who annoys you isn't truly controlling you. Your interpretation of their behavior is. The Stoics would say, it's not things themselves that disturb us, but the opinions we form about them. The words of Epictetus still echo with truth centuries later. This isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a guide to freedom. Because the moment you realize that peace doesn't depend on other people changing, you become untouchable. There's power in quiet restraint. Not silence from weakness, but silence born from wisdom. When someone speaks harshly, when they act without care, you have two choices. You can become like them, agitated, reactive, or you can remain still inside, choosing peace as your response. That's not easy, but it's what defines strength. Stoic calm is not coldness, it's self-mastery. It's the decision to not let your inner world be governed by someone else's storms. The next time you feel yourself growing irritated, notice what happens inside your body. The subtle tension in your shoulders, the way your thoughts begin to speed up, forming a silent argument in your mind. That's the moment awareness begins. In that tiny space between what happens and how you respond, your power lives. You can take a slow breath and remind yourself, this person cannot touch my peace unless I hand it over. Even Marcus Aurelius, who led armies and ruled an empire, faced people who frustrated him. In his writings, he reminded himself every morning, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil. He didn't write that as a complaint, but as preparation. It was his way of reminding himself not to be surprised when others acted imperfectly. He expected it, and therefore he stayed calm when it came. The truth is, no one is free from encountering difficult personalities. The Stoic way is to meet them without resistance, not to agree with them, not to tolerate mistreatment, but to stay in control of your own emotions. The goal is not to suppress your feelings, but to understand them, to see them rise, breathe through them, and let them pass without being carried away. You begin to notice that the more you protect your peace, the less power anyone has to pull you into conflict. Annoyance begins to fade because you start to see these moments differently. They become opportunities. Every irritating encounter becomes a chance to strengthen your calm. Every rude comment becomes a reminder of your control. Every situation that could have upset you becomes another test that shows how much you've grown.
The Stoic approach teaches you to stop demanding that people behave perfectly, and instead focus on maintaining your own harmony. You can't change how others act, but you can always decide how much access they have to your mind. You can learn to treat their behavior as a reflection of where they are, not as a reflection of your worth. That realization alone dissolves a great deal of pain. When irritation arises, try to observe it with kindness instead of judgment. You might say softly to yourself, "This moment is testing my patience, but it's also training it." You don't fight the feeling, you allow it, breathe with it, and let it lose its sharpness. That's the essence of Stoic strength, tranquility, not because life is peaceful, but because you are. Sometimes annoyance is simply a signal that we've forgotten our power. We start thinking that others must change for us to be okay, but Stoicism gently corrects that belief. It teaches that freedom comes from within, from mastering the only thing you truly own, your mind. When you stop expecting others to make you feel good, you discover a new kind of peace, one that doesn't depend on anything outside yourself. Now think about how often people's actions are driven by their own struggles, fears, or ignorance. Most of the time, what we call annoying behavior has nothing to do with us. It's a reflection of what's happening in their world, not ours. The Stoic doesn't take it personally because they understand that everyone is acting from their own state of mind. This awareness creates compassion, not anger. The next time someone irritates you, try this simple practice. Before reacting, take one slow, full breath. Feel it enter your body. Let the exhales soften your chest. Ask yourself, what if this isn't about me at all? Then respond from that place of clarity. It doesn't mean you accept bad behavior. It means you choose peace over unnecessary suffering. This is how you begin to rise above the energy of irritation, not by building walls, but by building awareness, not by rejecting others, but by strengthening your own inner discipline. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you reinforce a powerful truth. Your peace is your responsibility, and no one, no matter how annoying, can take it from you unless you give it away. The body and mind are deeply connected in this process. When your mind holds on to anger or annoyance, the body feels it. Your muscles tighten, your breathing shallows, your heart rate increases. But when your thoughts become calm and understanding, your body relaxes too. You feel lighter, clearer, more in control. This isn't a theory. It's an experience you can feel immediately when you practice it. The Stoic path to peace is not about changing the world, but about transforming your relationship with it. It's about becoming so centered that even when the noise around you grows louder, you remain like a mountain, unmoved, grounded, and still. There's immense freedom in that, because when you stop reacting to every disturbance, you finally begin to live from a place of quiet strength. So the next time life brings someone who tests your patience, take it as a lesson in disguise. Smile softly within yourself. You're not losing control, you're learning mastery. And mastery doesn't shout or argue, it stays still and strong because it knows that no annoyance can shake the peace that comes from understanding yourself.
There's a quiet truth the Stoics lived by. Peace is never about what others do. It's about how you choose to meet the moment. You don't control what people say, how they behave, or the moods they bring into the room, but you always control what meaning you attach to it. That is the very foundation of Stoic strength. The heart of this teaching rests on a single principle that Epictetus spoke again and again. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This simple truth carries the weight of a lifetime's wisdom, because once you understand it, you stop fighting the outer world so much. You stop wasting your energy trying to fix everyone around you. Instead, you begin turning that energy inward towards self-command. That's where the real work begins. When others behave poorly, they reveal their own lack of understanding, not yours. A Stoic doesn't see that as a personal attack, but as a lesson in endurance and clarity.
Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with betrayal and anger daily, reminded himself, when you wake up, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. It wasn't a complaint, it was preparation. He understood that expecting others to act perfectly is setting yourself up for disappointment. The wise person expects imperfection, not out of pessimism, but out of understanding the nature of human behavior. When you accept that others will be who they are, something inside you softens. You no longer feel attacked by every unpleasant interaction. You start seeing things as they are, without the emotional story layered on top. That's when peace begins to root itself deeply within you. You begin to say to yourself, I will not give my calm away so easily. Because every time you react impulsively, you hand over your peace to someone who probably doesn't even realize they've taken it. The next time you sense irritation rising, try to observe it like a cloud passing across the sky of your mind. You can notice it, but you don't need to become it. The Stoics practiced this mental distance. They called it the discipline of perception. It's the ability to see clearly, without exaggeration, without letting emotion distort the truth. When you step back mentally, you gain freedom. You realize that your thoughts, not the situation, create most of your suffering. You can begin to train this awareness in small ways. Each morning, take a few quiet moments before the day starts. Reflect gently. What kind of challenges might I face today? How will I choose to respond with calmness and understanding? This simple reflection sets your mind in the right direction. It tells your nervous system, I'm ready for what comes and I will not let it shake me. And when the inevitable test appears, the rude comment, the unfair behavior, the thoughtless interruption, you'll be ready. You'll feel the tension rise, but you'll also feel the space between reaction and wisdom. That's the space Stoicism gives you, the space to choose peace. When the mind begins to stir with irritation, notice how the body follows. The jaw tightens, the breath shortens, the shoulders rise. It's as if the body wants to armor itself for a fight. But this is where awareness becomes your greatest strength. When you catch that moment, stop. Take one deep breath in, and as you breathe out, consciously release the tension from your body. Feel the warmth return. Feel the calm settle in. In that breath, you take back control. The Stoics understood this mind-body connection long before science did. They knew that an undisciplined mind disturbs the body, and a disturbed body unsettles the mind. That's why they emphasized practices that bring harmony to both: calm thought, measured breath, steady posture. These are not small things. They are gateways to inner mastery.
Picture your mind as a clear lake. When someone throws a stone into it, an insult, a rude comment, a frustrating act, the water ripples, but it doesn't stay disturbed forever. If you let it be, the surface naturally returns to stillness. The problem isn't the stone, it's when we keep stirring the water ourselves. The Stoic path is learning to stop stirring. This understanding transforms how you experience life. The moment you stop taking people's behavior personally, you stop feeding the fire of irritation. You begin to see them as part of life's larger rhythm, each person carrying their own burdens, acting from their own state of mind. Some move with grace, others stumble through their pain. The Stoic meets both with composure. When you embody this perspective, you start to feel lighter. You no longer need to prove yourself, defend yourself, or correct everyone around you. You learn that sometimes the greatest strength lies in doing nothing at all, just staying calm, staying kind, staying aware. You respond to rudeness with silence, to ignorance with patience, to arrogance with understanding. That's not weakness, that's wisdom in action. And so, the practice of Stoicism isn't about withdrawing from the world, it's about walking through it with unshakable balance. Every difficult person becomes a silent teacher. every annoying encounter a classroom for the soul. You realize that calmness isn't something you chase, it's something you return to, again and again, when the world tries to pull you away. So how do you apply this in daily life? Begin with observation. Throughout the day, notice moments when you feel irritation rising. Instead of immediately reacting, ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this? You'll often find it's not the event, but your interpretation causing distress. Then, gently correct the story. Replace "they're disrespecting me" with "they are lost in their own frustration." Replace "this person is ruining my peace" with "my peace is mine to protect." These mental shifts build resilience. Each time you choose understanding over reaction, you rewire your mind for calm. Over time, this becomes natural. You stop fighting battles that don't deserve your energy. You start feeling a kind of quiet confidence, a strength that doesn't need to shout. And when that old wave of annoyance returns, as it sometimes will, you'll find yourself meeting it differently, with softness instead of tension, with a knowing smile instead of frustration, because you'll realize that no one truly disturbs you anymore. They only invite you to remember your peace. This is the beauty of the Stoic way. It turns every irritation into practice, every conflict into clarity. The more you practice it, the more you notice that your peace becomes harder to shake. Life still brings noise, but inside you, there's silence. People still act imperfectly, but you no longer feel personally hurt. You move through your days with steadiness, guided by something deeper than emotion, your understanding. When you start to live like this, you stop giving others the power to control your state of mind. You become grounded, self-contained, whole. That's what the Stoics called true freedom. Not freedom from the world, but freedom from being ruled by it. And that freedom begins the moment you choose to stay calm when everything around you tries to make you forget who you are.